Welcome to this week's live ASX strategy session. Great to have you with me again. Really interesting things going on in the markets to talk about today with the ASX on the move, also with the commodities, gold, copper, oil and uranium, and a couple of stocks to have a look at as well, of course, all your Q&A stocks at the end. Now, as always, everything today is general commentary only, doesn't take your personal situation into account. Having gone through that, let's get into today's charts. So first of all, ASX 200, and volatility has very much returned to the market, to the ASX 200. On Thursday, the index hit an all-time high, and then just 24 hours later, here we are with the market having a reversal of around 3%. I think it's about 2.8%, not quite 3%, but nonetheless a big reversal. So I think the fear, of course, when these things happen is people see this sort of decline, and then they wonder, look, is this the start of something bigger? And sometimes it is. There's no way to know for sure. But what we can do is we can assess the price action on its merits. So what I want to do when we step back, and we take in this whole picture. Let's step back even further. Let's go back. So we go back to the 2020 low. When we do this, what I see is a large upward phase, and then we've got a 2.5 year period where prices went sideways. It's not a nice clean textbook trading range, but nonetheless it's a big compression zone. And what I see now is a market that's stepping outside that range and starting to move upwards. So we had the initial rally beyond the range earlier this year, and then we got a big 3-month consolidation, and then prices now appear to be stepping out of that range into another phase of potentially moving higher. And this is how many bull markets progress. And it's a case that they ratchet higher in a way that leads to doubt. So it's not nice and clean and flowing. It's often up and then consolidates, and there's pullbacks, and it throws in doubt. And people are always worrying, is the top near? And hence you get that saying, markets climb a wall of worry. So just looking at the just looking at this latest price action. So Friday's fall, it only brings the ASX 200 back to where it was a few days ago, and it doesn't even get it back to the 50-day moving average, at least not at this point. And what we can see when we look at this, we can see this 50-day and 100 days. So I've got the two moving averages, 50 and 100 days, and what we often find, well, what we have found over the last 9 months or so, is that this has been a region where support has come in, where buying activities come in. There's been buying of the dip around those moving averages. So each time the market's tested lower, this is where the buying has emerged. And I think our default position should remain bullish while prices remain above these moving averages, and particularly while the moving averages are trending higher. Now, we've also got this broad sequence of higher lows and higher highs. So there was this period where we went sideways, where it doesn't quite fit, so the lows did dip. But generally speaking, when you look at this chart, it's a chart of rising lows and rising highs. And so another reason why I think at this stage there's just nothing bearish about this structure. That's not to say the situation can't change. I think a key level to watch, we want to watch this low here from the 25th of July, as well as where the moving average is. If we were to see these two levels give way and then prices fall back within sort of around the mid-range of this previous range, well, then I think then we're looking at the prospect of a longer and larger consolidation. But of course, that hasn't happened yet. They're just levels to keep in mind. At this point, we still have a market which is holding its breakout, from this range. Also interesting to go and have a look at the equal weight, the ASX equal weight, or it's the ASX 200 equal weight, I should say. Just looking at this, this period which I have in, which is shaded, because I think this helps. I think what the equal weight does, I think it helps provide an overall assessment of the health of the ASX 200 generally, because it takes out those distortions that you can get from a few of the big caps, like if CBA or BHP or the banks generally are doing something, it can pull the ASX 200 in a particular direction. When you look at the equal weight, you're getting more of a feel for what all the stocks put together on an equal weighted basis, what it's doing then. And it briefly looked like we could have had a breakout happening on Thursday. Very quickly, though, the markets come back within the range. But look, the way I look at this, there's no imminent risk of a breakdown. It's just simply a market which has come back to within the upper end of its range. We still have rising moving averages. Price hasn't come back to the moving averages at this point. So it's just not a bearish structure. In fact, quite to the contrary, I think that this choppy overlap price action that we've had over the last 3 or so months, I think they're the hallmarks of a corrective phase. And what's it correcting? Well, I think it's correcting a large upward move prior to that. So you correct an upward move, typically then you'd move into another upward move. Not always, but that's often how it works. Of course, it could be a topping formation, but that's just not how it's lining up at the moment. So in my experience, this type of price action often resolves to the upside. Now, if you're getting some value from this, please hit that like button. Please leave a short comment. Just, hey, thanks for the video. Just tells YouTube you're watching. YouTube shows other people. Helps me a lot. So please do that. And now we're going to move on to the small ordinaries. I think there's some good clues coming from that, and the emerging companies, as well as the commodities, copper, gold, oil, uranium, a few stocks to look at, the stocks you want me to look at as well. But that wraps up the free section. So if you're not a strategy session member, think about coming on in. It doesn't cost you very much, and you get to ask about all the stocks which you might be thinking about, which you might want a technical assessment on, as well as, of course, all the other things we go through with commodities and smaller stocks. But look, having said that, let's now go into our small ords. Let's have a look at that.